Hi everyone, I'm Chloe, and according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, anxiety disorders affect 40 million adults in the U.S. ages 18 and older. This is approximately 18.1% of our population. However, in recent years with COVID-19 being present, the Washington Post estimates that for every 100 American adults, 34 show symptoms of anxiety, depression, or both. The mental state of our country is collapsing. And so, for my senior project, I chose to investigate the effects of weightlifting on anxiety and its symptoms. To start off my talk, I think it's important to define anxiety. What is it? When doing a quick Google search, anxiety is defined as a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. Having anxiety is completely normal. In my case, I deal with high-functioning generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD for short. People with GAD may have some or all of the common effects of anxiety, but feel it more intensely or more often than the average person. Even if they realize that their constant worrying is neither helpful nor necessary, the fear doesn't always go away. They can't relax, have trouble sleeping, are unable to concentrate, and can always find something to worry about. Embarrassing photo. Don't look too closely. And that's what brought me here to weightlifting. I know from previous experience that I feel better and less anxious when I work out. So I wanted to see if that pertained to lifting as well. And so, for almost every day for 3 months, for a total of almost 50 hours, I lifted. I tracked what I did, the weights I used, and set personal goals I wanted to achieve. Despite the outcome, I knew I was going to feel less anxious overall. But why is that? There are multiple reasons as to why we feel less nervous and stressed when working out, many of which have to do with our brains. Studies have shown that regular aerobic exercise is associated with a lowered sympathetic nervous system and hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis reactivity, or HPA for short. The sympathetic nervous system is commonly referred to as our fight or flight response. When we are able to decrease our sympathetic sensitivity, we're less prone to anxiety and panic attacks. And then there's the HPA. The HPA plays a vital role in our reactions to physiological and psychological stressors. There's research that shows that the HPA axis releases less stress hormones when a person partakes in regular exercise. Weightlifting has also been shown to increase both serotonin and norepinephrine levels in the brain. These are both chemical messengers linked to mood and energy level. There's also a cool theory that suggests that exercise alleviates anxiety through anxiety exposure itself. Supposedly, exposing someone with high anxiety sensitivity to the physiological symptoms they fear, such as rapid heart rate, but now in the context of physical exercise, actually increases their tolerance for those symptoms. This exposure reveals that their feared common symptoms may be uncomfortable, but don't actually pose a serious threat. In addition to those, there are other reasons why exercise makes us feel the way we do that doesn't just depend on our brains. There's this concept of self-efficacy. This is, in essence, our belief about our ability to succeed in a particular situation. It's thought that one's sense of self-efficacy regarding their ability to control potential threats is related to anxiety. People who trust their ability to manage threats and therefore have high self-efficacy are less plagued by worry and experience lower levels of anxiety. So, in theory, exercise can increase self-efficacy by creating experiences where we successfully cope with the stress of exercise. As fitness improves, we receive the feedback of greater endurance, less pain, and as a result, self-efficacy should increase. This was especially the case with Michelle O'Dale. This is a woman who documented her situation starting CrossFit. When discussing her experience, she emphasized 2 major points. One of these is the self-determination theory. This theory states that when there's a shift away from extrinsic motivation, like reward and punishment, to intrinsic or internal motivation, we are more likely to continue with activities that give us autonomy. When we feel as though we are in a self-governing state, we feel a sense of control over our lives and what happens in our day. This decreases our anxiety of the uncontrollable aspects of our lives. And her second major point was about exercise as a means of meditation. I found that this happened in my case as well. Don't look too closely again. When lifting, my mental chatter and worries of the day were switched off and led me to a sense of being completely with my physical self. While traditional meditations focus on clearing the mind, in both cases there's a mindfulness occurring. I feel most present when I dedicate my entire attention to what I'm physically doing. When lifting, I'm constantly taking note of how I feel, if my form is okay in order to avoid injury. In that state of complete focus, there's no room for thoughts such as, when was that homework due? Or anything like that. A previous personal trainer of mine had a similar point of view as well. Her name is Anne-Marie, and she's been a personal trainer since 2014. During our interview, she stated that she's a firm believer that the key to anxiety is control. She also describes a similar meditative experience like Dale and I, saying that when she exercises, she gets into the zone. One where there's no room for anxious thought. She's also a big advocate for listening to our bodies. Now don't get me wrong, there are definitely still days when I don't feel like I should be getting out of bed, but I know that I'll feel much better after working out. Anne-Marie indulges in many types of exercise depending on what her body is feeling up to. But whether it be lifting, walking, running, playing a sport, etc., taking time for ourselves is extremely important. And that leads me to my most important point, that everyone should take time for themselves. Jordan Raskopoulos, an Australian comedian, had a very insightful TED Talk where she described how she deals with high-functioning anxiety. She mainly discussed the importance of having healthy coping mechanisms and doing things that make us feel the most confident. In my case, that's exercise, but I realize that that's not everyone's cup of tea. It could really be as simple as crocheting, doing puzzles, watching TV, going out, anything that makes you feel good that someone else isn't telling you to do. Doing things for yourself leads to a better sense of self, which in turn makes us feel good, and we deserve to feel good. So why does all of this matter? What life lesson or message could I have possibly taken away from lifting some dumbbells? During a year where physical health and wellness was the main topic of conversation, I believe a lot of us forgot to take care of our mental health, which is equally as important. Without both of these things, a person can't live a truly happy and fulfilling life. And so, I urge all of you to take time in your day to do something that makes you feel good solely because you want to do it and because you deserve to feel good. I would also like to emphasize that we can all stand to be a bit more gentle with ourselves. Allow ourselves some time away from expectations and worry. You are the only person that you have to spend every single day of your life with. So why not build that relationship with a bit more care and love? Finally, I'll leave you with a quote by Morgan Nichols. You are worth the quiet moment, you are worth the deeper breath, and you are worth the time it takes to slow down, be still, and rest. Thank you.
What questions do you have for Chloe?
Yeah? Way in the back? No worries. Jack?
So what goals did you have set for yourself when you thought up this project?
Okay, so obviously I wanted to hit the hour mark, which was very, very easy. But my other goal, I really wanted to be able to do a pull-up because I haven't been able to do one since the president fitness test with in like middle school, so that was probably my main goal.
Did you reach the goal, Chloe?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm able to do like 2 to 3 now, so
Awesome, congratulations.
thank you.
Any other questions for Chloe? No? Thank you, Chloe.